What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Off the Schneid. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 2021 Miami Dolphins post-free agency pre-2021 NFL draft. A lot of capital. The Dolphins are in an interesting position. They got 4 top 50 picks. They got a lot of draft capital. They moved down from 3 back to 12, back up to 6 with the Eagles. So looking at this roster with how active they were in free agency this year, as well as last off season, it's weird. It's a weird. They're clearly looking to build through the draft. But what are they going to need? Let's take a look at the offense. We'll start on offense. Tua's obviously the guy. They brought in Jacoby Brissett to back him up, so that they're set there. For me, I feel like they're going to add a difference maker at running back, whether that's first round, second round. One of those top 50 picks, in my opinion, is going to be a running back. Najee Harris just makes a ton of sense. I don't want to talk about prospects too much or about the potential picks where they might land. I will have a mock draft coming out, so keep an eye out for that. But a guy like Najee Harris could put this offense over the line, sort of a thing. I think they add some running back with one of those picks. And then wide receiver. I think it's hard to rely on Will Fuller and Preston Williams and even Jakeem Grant injury-wise. It's tough to rely on those guys to be there week in and week out. So I think those two positions, you kind of have to add a difference maker with the assets that they have and where they're drafting. 2 first-round picks, You got to add some difference makers on offense. Young quarterback. Mike Gesicki's great. Devontae Parker can be great. You just got to plug in some guys there. Offensive line. I do like their offensive line. I think that they're definitely improving with the capital that they spent last year in last year's draft. But they, again, always, every single one of these, you're probably going to hear me talking about offensive line, adding depth, adding competition. Every single draft has to have an offensive lineman in it, in my opinion. So they're gonna, I think, again, one of those top 50 picks could be one of those guys. Where do you go after that? I mean, kicker, punter, I don't know, late in the draft, like one of those 7th round picks. Again, they just have tons of capital and not a crazy amount of holes, to be honest. So we'll see what they do on offense, but I think wide receiver, running back, I think they got to add a starter, basically, in the draft with the first round selection. So look at the defense. They brought in guys like Benardrick McKinney, brought back Van Ginkel, I believe. Landon Roberts comes back. Sam Eguavin, I can't say his name, but he comes in as well. Justin Coleman comes in. There's not a ton of holes here either. The only place that I could see them adding on the defensive side, 3-4 defensive line. This is a very, very much a New England Patriots-esque type of a defense, the way that it looks and should function, in my opinion. That's how it looks. And a couple guys come from that mold, right? It's directly from that mold. Even got Vince Beagle back. There's a lot of depth here. So where do you go? 3-4 line. I think you get someone to back up Christian Wilkins, Manny Ogba. You just bring in some pieces that can help out and compete, sort of a thing. Maybe if they find, and there's a couple in this draft, again, I'm not going to get into prospects, but there's a couple 3-4 edge rushers that could be difference makers and could be studs. So maybe some of those guys are they're looking at 18. I think that's actually a good spot. I might take a look at that. Corner, they're looking good. Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, Justin Coleman they brought in. Noah Igbenogany, a late first-round pick last year. Again, you could always add to that. Depth at safety, that kind of a thing. And it's an interesting roster. It's a very, very interesting roster. They made a lot of moves, both free agencies last year, this year, that kind of a thing. Not a ton of holes. They were a playoff team last year, a wild card team. So yeah, I mean, this team is looking good, very good for the future. I didn't quite expect them to get to 10-6 last year, But I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that they got as far as they did. Obviously, they didn't make it too far in the playoffs, but they were a wild card team, and not a lot of people expected that. I thought that they could push to be a wild card team. I didn't think that they would get there, if I'm being honest. So here we are, not a lot of holes, tons of draft capital. They can make some moves, and this is going to be an interesting team to watch in the AFC, especially in that division with the Bills. Patriots are making tons of moves. The Jets will probably stay at the back of the pack, and I think they know it and might not look to draft a quarterback. We'll see. But so there you go. Like there we are in as far as like an order. I guess I would say wide receiver, running back, edge rusher, 3-4 defensive linemen as a depth piece, safety depth. That's probably how I would look to attack the draft for the Dolphins. I wouldn't be shocked if you see them trade back if maybe they lose a guy that they thought would be there at 6 or 8, 18, something like that, or in the second round if they want to move back. But what are you gonna do? Add more draft assets? I mean, I guess, but here we are. So yeah, there you go for your Miami Dolphins. Not a ton of holes. I like their team. I like their coaching staff. A lot of good things to look forward to if you're a Dolphins fan. A lot of optimism there. At least there should be. So thanks for the watch. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. And again, keep an eye out for that NFL draft, mock draft that I'll have a little later on in the month, a couple weeks from now. Keep an eye out for that. But thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.